If you're taking hydrochlorothiazide and you're over 60, there are 7 warning signs your body gives you before anything serious happens. Most people miss them, even when the very first sign shows up right in front of them. Some of these warnings feel small: a little dizziness, a bit of confusion, a muscle cramp that comes and goes. These early changes are not just aging. They're signals that your body is losing too much fluid, losing critical minerals, or struggling to keep up with this medication. And here's the part most seniors never hear. HCTZ can stay in your system longer after 60. That means the early warning signs matter more. They show up sooner, and they can tell you exactly when your dose is too strong or when something else you're taking is quietly interfering with it. Today, we'll break down the 7 warning signs you should never ignore, what each one means, and how to tell the difference between a normal side effect and a real red flag. Welcome to MedDose Explained. This video is for education only, not medical advice. The first warning sign is simple, but it's one of the most important. Dizziness, especially when you stand up. Hydrochlorothiazide works by pulling extra salt and water out of your body. That's how it lowers blood pressure. But after 60, your body doesn't hold fluid the same way it used to. You lose water faster, your blood volume drops quicker, and the pressure in your arteries can fall suddenly. That's why so many older adults on HCTZ feel lightheaded in the morning, or unsteady after getting out of a chair. It's not just age. It's your blood pressure dipping lower than your brain can handle in that moment. Mayo Clinic and FDA labeling warn clearly about this. Low blood pressure from dehydration is one of the earliest signs that HCTZ may be too strong, or that you're losing more fluid than your body can replace. If you notice dizziness every time you stand, if you feel like the room tilts, if you need a moment to steady yourself, that's your body telling you something important. It's a signal that your blood pressure may be dropping too fast, or that your fluid balance is off. And in older adults, that's exactly when the risk of falls increases. This is not a symptom to ignore. The second warning sign is one that many families overlook: confusion, or what people often describe as foggy thinking. Hydrochlorothiazide doesn't just remove water, it also shifts the balance of sodium in your body. And after 60, your kidneys become less able to correct that imbalance. That means your sodium can drop faster and lower, even when the dose of HCTZ is small. When sodium falls, the brain is the first organ to feel it. That's why the early symptoms don't look like classic side effects. They look like small changes in how you think or feel. You may feel slower, more tired, less sharp, or just not yourself. According to Mayo Clinic and multiple clinical reviews, hyponatremia from HCTZ is significantly more common in older adults. And the symptoms can be subtle at first. A little forgetfulness, a moment of confusion, difficulty focusing, feeling off balance without a clear reason. But here's the part that matters. These changes are not normal aging. They're a red flag that your sodium may be dropping, and your brain is starting to react to it. If you ever feel mentally foggy, if you feel confused after taking your medication, or if friends or family notice you're not as sharp today, take it seriously. This is one of the most important warning signs that HCTZ is affecting your electrolytes, and it deserves attention before it becomes dangerous. The third warning sign is muscle cramps, or a heartbeat that suddenly feels off. Hydrochlorothiazide doesn't just remove water, it also pulls potassium out of your body. And potassium is not optional. Your nerves need it, your muscles need it, and your heart depends on it every second. After 60, the kidneys lose some of their ability to conserve potassium, so even a standard dose of HCTZ can lower potassium faster than you expect. That's why one of the earliest red flags is muscle tightness, a sudden cramp at night, or a feeling of weakness that comes out of nowhere. But the more serious sign is in the heart. Low potassium disrupts the electrical signals that keep your heartbeat steady. When the level drops too far, you may feel fluttering, a skipped beat, a few seconds where your heart feels irregular, or a mild pressure in the chest that doesn't feel normal. The Mayo Clinic and FDA both list hypokalemia as a major warning for older adults using thiazide diuretics. And for people over 60, even mild potassium loss can trigger noticeable symptoms. If you feel muscle cramps often, if you suddenly feel weak or shaky, if your heartbeat feels irregular, even for a moment, that is not something to brush off. It's your body telling you the potassium level is dropping, and that your heart is working harder to keep the rhythm steady. This is a warning sign you should never ignore. The fourth warning sign is more serious, and it often shows up quietly. A sudden drop in how much you urinate, or new swelling in your feet, ankles, or lower legs. Hydrochlorothiazide works through your kidneys. It tells them to push out more sodium and water, but after 60, the kidneys don't respond the same way. Blood flow to the kidneys is lower, filtration is slower, and the margin for dehydration is much smaller. When the kidneys start to struggle, the first sign isn't always pain. It's a change in output. You may go to the bathroom less, your urine may look darker, or your legs may start holding fluid even though you're taking a diuretic. This surprises many older adults. They think, why am I swelling when I'm taking a water pill? But Mayo Clinic and FDA labeling both warn that HCTZ can stress the kidneys when you're dehydrated or when it's interacting with other medications, like NSAIDs or ACE inhibitors. When the kidneys get overwhelmed, they conserve fluid instead of releasing it, and the result is swelling, fatigue, and a heavy, sluggish feeling in the legs. If your urine output drops suddenly, if your feet or ankles swell more than usual, or if the swelling appears even though you haven't changed your salt intake, that is a red flag. Your kidneys may be telling you they need help, and this is a warning sign that deserves attention as soon as possible. The fifth warning sign is severe dizziness when you stand up. Not just a light wave, but a strong drop. The kind that makes you grab the wall, or sit back down because you feel like you might fall. Hydrochlorothiazide lowers your blood volume. That's part of how it lowers blood pressure. But after 60, the body doesn't adjust as quickly when you change position. Your blood vessels take longer to tighten, and your brain feels the sudden drop in pressure within seconds. That's why many older adults describe the same moment. They stand up, the vision blurs, their head feels empty, and for a few seconds, everything fades. This is called orthostatic hypotension, and it's one of the biggest risk factors for falls in people over 60. Not because you're weak, but because the pressure to the brain drops too fast for your body to correct it. Mayo Clinic and hypertension guidelines both warn that thiazide diuretics can make this worse, especially when you're even slightly dehydrated, or when HCTZ is combined with other blood pressure medications. If you ever feel a wave of dizziness when you stand, if you need a few seconds to steady yourself, if you've stopped moving quickly because it throws you off, your body is sending a clear message. Your blood pressure may be dropping too far or too fast, and it needs attention. This is not just a side effect. It's a warning sign that your brain isn't getting enough blood flow during those first few seconds. And in adults over 60, That can be dangerous. The sixth warning sign shows up on your skin. A rash, redness, or a sudden sensitivity to sunlight that you never had before. Hydrochlorothiazide can make your skin react differently to UV light. This isn't rare, and it's listed clearly on the FDA label. After 60, your skin becomes thinner, drier, and slower to heal. So even a mild reaction can become more noticeable and more dangerous. The early signs are often subtle: a patch of redness on the arms, a warm, itchy area after being outside for just a short time, or small spots that look like a sunburn even when the sun wasn't strong. But the more serious warning is this: if your skin becomes extremely sensitive to sunlight, or if a rash appears suddenly after starting HCTZ, your body may be telling you it's reacting to the medication. Some people describe it as a burning feeling in the sun. Others notice small bumps or welts. And in rare cases, thiazide diuretics can trigger stronger allergic reactions. Mayo Clinic warns that seniors are more vulnerable to these effects because the skin barrier is weaker and the immune response is different with age. So pay attention to your skin. If you develop a rash, if sunlight suddenly feels harsh, if your skin reacts faster than usual, don't ignore it. This is your body signaling that HCTZ is affecting your skin's sensitivity. And catching this early can prevent a more serious reaction later. The seventh warning sign is easy to miss because it happens after you start something new. A new pill, a cold medicine, or even something as common as ibuprofen. Hydrochlorothiazide interacts with more medications than most people realize, and after 60, these interactions become stronger and show up faster. One of the most important examples is NSAIDs, medications like ibuprofen and naproxen. They're everywhere. They're used for pain, swelling, headaches, arthritis. But when you mix NSAIDs with HCTZ, something changes quietly in the kidneys. NSAIDs reduce the blood flow that HCTZ needs to work. Your kidneys stop releasing fluid. Salt starts building up. Your blood pressure can rise. And instead of feeling better, you begin to feel worse. The early signs are subtle. More swelling, less urine, a heavier feeling in the legs, or blood pressure numbers creeping up when they were stable before. But it's not only NSAIDs. Starting an AC inhibitor, adding an ARB, a new beta blocker, even certain supplements. All of these can amplify the effects of HCTZ or push your electrolytes in the wrong direction. That's why doctors and pharmacists warn older adults so often. If you feel worse after starting a new medication, or if your symptoms shift within a few days, your body may be reacting to the interaction, not the original dose of HCTZ. So if something changes suddenly, and the timing lines up with a new pill you started, pay attention. Your body is giving you a direct message, and this is a warning sign you should never ignore. If any of these warning signs sound familiar, don't ignore them. HCTZ is a helpful medication, but after 60, your body reacts differently. The early signals matter. Start checking your blood pressure a few times a week. Write down dizziness, cramps, swelling, or any confusion you notice. These small details help your doctor adjust your dose safely. And if your symptoms began after starting a new medication, especially NSAIDs, call your doctor or pharmacist. Catching these changes early can prevent bigger problems later. If you want clear, trustworthy explanations about the medications you take, I've put together a full playlist of blood pressure medicine videos for seniors. You'll find it here on your screen. Thank you for watching. And if this helped you, please like the video and subscribe to MedDose Explained for the next safety guide.